Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The title of today's program is Let Us Read Together, Reason Together, and this is Sunday, the 17th, I believe. Yes. I'll begin by opening from one of our flyers. This was not flyer. This is As-Sabiqun, March 2002. How to think, believe, and act after 9/11. As of September the 11th, 2001, let it be known that a state of open warfare exists between the United Forces of Kufr on the one hand, led by the bandit election-stealing President of the United States, who follows in the footsteps of his father, also ex-president and ex-CIA chief George Bush, and the sincere, truth-loving Muslims of the world on the other, led not by the TV terrorists, that is, intelligence operatives of the Western media, but the true global Islamic movement. The criminal constitutional dictatorship of the USA has elevated the 2-decade-long low-intensity war against Islam and Muslims to an all-out crusade. In this state of war, every means of trickery and deception, as well as every physical weapon, including weapons of mass destruction, have been used against the peace-seeking, freedom-loving Muslims of the world. As Muslims, it is not necessary to deny or apologize for or congratulate the bringing down of the World Trade Center in New York. For we truly believe that this incident had nothing whatsoever to do with Islam or Muslims. Instead, we were certain that the incident would be used as the original 1993 bombing as a pretext to declare war on Muslims and Islam. This method of operation continues the traditional U.S. policy of creating the climate and developing the atmosphere which would allow this greedy imperialist system to legally pursue its predetermined plans of expansion and oppression. Then I say, for quick references to the pattern of criminal conduct, look up the origins of the Mexican War. That's 1847. The origins of the Spanish-American War. Abraham Lincoln used to have a nickname. They called him Spotty when he was in Congress. Because he used to, on Capitol Hill, he would go up and say, show me the spot, he'd be on the map, where Mexico invaded the United States. So he did it so often they called him Spotty. They said, show me the spot on the map where Mexico, in other words, the U.S. invaded Mexico. Mexico didn't invade the U.S. But you got to remember now, they got California, Arizona, New Mexico. They had already just stole Texas. They got Colorado. My goodness, they cleaned house. Nevada, they got 1/4 of the continental United States. They stole 55% of Mexican territory from Mexico. That's what it was, 55% of Mexico. That was after Texas. If you added Texas, it would probably be about 60% or something like that. Because anyway, then it says the Spanish-American War, remember the Maine. Does anybody remember the Maine?
Yeah.
The battleship that...
right, that just happened to sink and they blamed it on the Spanish.
Well, I don't know if it's sunk, but it blew up in Havana Harbor in
it blew up.
1898, and they blamed it on the Spanish. Of course, there's no way the Spanish could have did it. I mean, good God Almighty. But they got a war.
Right.
Now you got to imagine, they already had the Sixth Fleet over in the Philippines area when it happened, like it was some plan. When I grew up, they used to call the Philippines the Philippine colonies. So Philippines got their so-called freedom from America, technically in 1946. But when I was young, they still referred to, the books referred to the Philippines as the Philippine colonies. Forget about Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, all that down there. They got all that. That was all Spanish territory. Okay, the Guatemala coup d'etat in 1954, the Arbenz government, and the Gulf of Tonkin, 1964. Okay, that's just a pattern of the United States government. That was called How to Think, Believe, and Act After 9/11. We kind of had a feeling, we had a good feeling in 1993, not a good feeling, but it was a feeling, we was wondering how the United States was going to justify their attack on Muslims. The World Trade Center, number 1, 1963, was clear. It was them that did it, and it justified.
1993.
Huh?
1993.
1993. Yeah, they got everything. When they already had the Death Penalty Act, they had all them laws that they got later on. They had them already in 2011. You know, the Anti-Terrorism, Death Penalty Act, all that stuff. And then George Bush, they said something to him. He said that the Constitution is just a piece of paper. So anyway, we had good feeling, not good feeling, but we had an idea which way they was going to go. Also, we have, this is from 2009/24/2010. I call this it comes from an idea we've always had about battle space. I just have a few notes here. So I got what I came for in 1989. In other words, we got what we revert to original plan. With the benefit, or revert to the original plan last year. Then I have a little note that means late or early this year. That's 2010. With the benefit of 2010, then it has 2010, remember it has archives, it has what we was dealing with, documentary, you know what I mean, chronicalization and all of that. We were well into that by 2010. Reconfirm our mission. Very clear picture of a mission, very clear picture of the battlefield, battle space. I even have that in parentheses. Comprehensive understanding of religious and historical trends and reality. And we know what we're up against. USA addiction to pipe, needles, arrogance, and its habits. You know, it has a habit of arrogance. So almost habit is, but in a way it's not an addiction, it's the way you deal with things. You do this by habit. So it could be that you're addicted to the habit of doing things the way you are. change your life, then we have self-image and picture. Really, if you want your life to be better and to improve, what does it say? Change your picture of life. What do you want life to be like? Your self-image. Because psychologists and sociologists believe that the human being will act according to the picture that they have of themselves and how they fit into society. Process of change, improvement, change habits. Believe it or not, I have the same. I said I had here, 12-101, 12-105, that we just want to reiterate, even at this time and before, that we know that everything that's been happening comes from Allah. We knew it then, we knew it way back when, and we knew that the amount of attention that we get from the system, that Allah's hand is protecting, holding their hand back, and it have them acting in a certain way. And we know that we couldn't make them do that. That if they acted on their own, they would just say, nigga, get rid of it. It's too much time. We waste too much money. I mean, they put money into this. I mean, it's like having several teams, and there's 24 hours a day. You know, like they used to say, wake him up and put him to sleep. But then it says, be happy, of course. In other words, your struggle, you don't have to. But if you want to do a good job, and you don't want it to be stressful or anything, you have to train yourself to not only want to do it, but like doing it. And along the way, you can put your own little joys and fun. That's why we harass Boss Man so much. Because that's what we did in Jahiliyyah. You know, we like doing that. You know, and no matter what they do, you notice we don't take it personal. Even the assault, most people take that personal. I don't take it personal. It's just if I talk about Boss Man and he got all those facilities, all of those people, shoot. It ain't no big deal. Of course, I do feel a little, I said, well, they was really trying to work on the Negro. But you know, I didn't even lose consciousness, and I was 73 years old then. That's not bad. And you could tell that they wasn't playing. You could see the ropes in my head, you know, they looked like waves or something. And pieces of flesh sticking up. They was actually busy. And my protection would set me up anyway. Like if I'm sitting down, you know, like if somebody come in and they come to you from the right and you sitting down, when you're young, you might be able to get up. But when you're older, I have to push down just to stand up, you know, just push up. So with somebody on top of you, you can't get up. So it don't take long to think. So you pull him to the side and you're going to roll over on him. But imagine it. When I roll over on him, that leaves the top of my head. Can you imagine? Of course, I couldn't see it. Can you imagine Khadijah just got, she can, you know, like they used to say, haul off. And whap! You know, and I could feel it pretty, I said, this is actually happening, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And we rolling along. But I didn't take it personally. You know why? Because we get what we know what to expect. And it says Joseph and his brothers were the instrument of Allah's will. We've been saying that it seems like it's new, right? We just got it right here. Right here, I can pass the paper around, you can see. Dad always got along very well with big niggas. Okay. I'll get to the point in just a second. Where's one of those? Okay, we'll start here. It's got to be, can imagine, it's close by. Okay. Our current and future programs. This is one of our old re-Africanization of Islamic movement in USA. De-Israelization of Islamic movement in North America. Battle space awareness. Islamic dialectical idealism. College of Islamic Movement Studies. That being strategic management under conditions of repression. Agricultural liberation, and on top of that was Muslim cultural replacement. Remember we discussed the Muslims making their own, let's call it halal, because the spoken word with a drum is daf, they used to call it. It's halal in Islam. So the Muslims should begin to make their own. All they got to do is express themselves, what they're coming in contact with today. And they do that over a short period of time, they're going to get better and better and better. And even their own genre, movies and stuff. They should make their own movies. Okay, if they don't, that's part of what we're going to do too. Anyway, all of this stuff right here is basically what we was going to do, what we plan to do, and what has been on the agenda. High quality physical fitness program, I mean, running hills, Oakland Hills daily, weightlifting, boxing, stuff like that. Now, let's get to the point of all of this. We said, let us reason together. Our program, our As-Sabiqun, was predicated on the patterns of declines in America. Well, everything we got here was based on the patterns of decline in America. It's not a new thing, it's not a new phenomenon. We've been literally, technically certain of it for I don't know how long. Let me see what we can pop up here. Here's another one. As-Sabiqun, National Survival of Masjid al-Islam, that is in America. Iran, number 2, International Survival. So we're saying national, our survival inside the United States. As-Sabiqun, our survival, that's 2010. And remember, that's only 10 years ago. Now to other people who are younger, 10 years ago, it's a long time. And a lot of the stuff, what we started off with, that was 2000, that article came out 2002, and that was 18 years ago. For most people, if they're in their 30s or even 40s, 18 years ago is a long time ago. 18 years ago is a part of this cycle. Let's see, we're at the end of that cycle, going into another cycle. Where we are today, the cycle don't just come to like grades, you know, you was in the 5th grade, you finished that, now you're in the 7th grade or 6th grade. That's not the way our cycle is. Everything overlaps, you know. If we would have think about what stage we were in now as a people or as a movement, we would say this is right around the conquest of Mecca. Why would we say that? You have to remember, the conquest of Mecca was when Islam was now Arab phenomenon on the Jaziratul Arab. So that means all of its people, all its resources were now at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam at his behest. He set the stage at Mecca when he conquered Mecca, right? Abu Bakr went to the next, when they purified the Kaaba, cleaned it all up of all his idols and all that stuff. Then the next year, for the Amir of Hajj, that was Abu Bakr, Siddiq radiallahu anhu. But while they was at the Hajj, while they was getting ready for the Hajj, before they finished the first part of Surah Tawbah, Barat al-Mushrikeen, was Ali radiallahu anhu who was sent to deliver that message at the Hajj. Now the next year, which was the 10th year, this is the Hajj that we follow, the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was the last Hajj. I think he lived 82 days or something after that, something like that. In our transitional ebb and flow periods, going to the same direction we've been working on all the time. Our mission has been upgraded a little bit, but it had never changed. Never has changed. So if you were to add up, where are we now in this? Well, we would be right at the conquest of Mecca. Because something the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what are you going to do with us? That you're an honorable man, you come from an honorable family. That's what they were saying last week.